Adonai mevorach, Adonai natan, Adonai lakach yehishem, 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 Adonai mevorach. Do you hear the birds?
Yes, I do.
So let's start by listening to the birds. And in the birds chirping, we can hear Ruthie. Chirping and singing and making sweet music and making the world, making our lives a better place. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. Feel free to raise a hand if you can't, and I'll talk louder. Hi. Today we are here to honor my mommy's mommy, our beloved Ruthie Rodensky Gottlieb. Grandma left us in the midst of Passover, in the midst of Pesach that we just finished. And the story of Passover is a story of liberation. It's a story of being stuck in Mitzrayim, which means a place of constriction, a place of narrowness. Aunt Rainey just got here. Hi, Aunt Rainey. We love you. And Grandma was blessed. She had an amazing life with children and stepchildren. We never use that word though. So children and two amazing husbands and in-laws and grandchildren and siblings and nieces and nephews and Charlene's and everyone and friends, just unbelievable. And in her last couple years, she entered a place of narrowness, living with Alzheimer's. And it was really sad. And it was really hard for us to watch her enter that place of narrowness. And we could just put it on the floor if it's not going to stick up. We know what she looks like, right? And for me and I, one of the greatest gifts that my grandma gave me was that she waited for me to come home from Israel so I could be with her and be with my mom and Debbie and Jill and Adam and everyone else. And in the last few days, and I was talking about this with my mom just maybe even this morning, that I forgot that she had Alzheimer's because she was sleeping peacefully. And we spoke with her, and we held her, and we sang to her, and when she nodded, and when she, held our hand tight when I would come, she knew exactly who we were, and she knew exactly what we were saying. And it was watching her and feeling her neshama, her soul, being liberated from this narrowness that started then, and is really, that's what's happening even more so now. That's what we're really celebrating today. That Grandma had an amazing life, and any narrowness that she did experience in the last couple of years, she is totally liberated from it. And that is something to be really grateful for. And not only did she leave us in this realm on Passover, but there's a 49-day process called the Omer that happens between Passover and Shavuot. Passover is a time of liberation. Shavuot is a time of revelation. When we receive Torah, we receive the new goodness for the next year. And Grandma left us, each day has a special name, a special number, and a special holy attribute. And Grandma left us on the day of Netzach Shebechesed. And that means that she left us on the day of forever love. And so that is who all of you are. You represent the forever love that she shared with so many people, and that you shared right back to her. And so I, as her granddaughter, also I want to thank you all for, many of you have known Grandma since before I was born, some of you even since before my mom and Debbie were born. And thank you for making her life so special, for making our lives so special. And that will continue, because her love for us is forever, and our love for her is forever. And so I'd like to read a selection of a psalm that I wrote. I've written a translation of the book of Psalms. And what's most special about this book is that each of them, of the 150 Psalms, are written for a special person or a special event in my life. And it's Grandma Ruthie who is the very first person that I wrote one for. And it was writing Psalm 86 for her on her 86th birthday, and seeing the sparkle in her eye when I read it to her, that told me this is what God wants me to be doing, and then it was. So I'm going to read a part of that psalm in honor of Grandma. My God, who brings everything into balance and harmony, answer me, for my own intellectual capacities have failed me. My soul is guarded, stuck, chained. I need your chesed, your eternal loving kindness, to save me, so that I can say my soul is guarded, protected, free. God is so good. God's love is unimaginably vast. It's a superpower that reaches everywhere it is desired and called for, a magic that allows me to finally forgive myself. God senses when I'm off balance and saves me from falling too deep. God pays attention to me, really hears my voice. I feel heard, safe, protected. I know that I can call on God when I feel myself spiraling into a place of narrowness. God will always answer me. You created all of my most intricate parts on purpose and invite them all to be seen and heard and brought before you in wholeness. God, my holy parent, the path to your tent is paved in truth. I will join you as we travel the yellow brick road to freedom. Thank you, God. My whole heart, my whole being is filled beyond human abilities of expression with honor and excitement at the idea that this feeling that we have right now, this feeling could, would, will last forever and longer. Into times and spaces yet to be revealed. A superhero of grace, compassion, patience, and the most abundant and truthful love. When I was confused, you saved me and cleared away all of the doubt so that your clear, bright truth could shine once again. Your signs of goodness are everywhere, with me and around me. I am constantly amazed by your ability to transform even the most arid wastelands into springs of joy. It is because you are God. May I be comforted, may we be comforted and eased forward by this truth, always. Amen. Next, I will recite Psalm 23. And just like Grandma had so many ways of calling to the people that she loved, right? Honey, dear, sweetheart, my girl, you, right? That is the same that we have for the divine. There's so many different ways that we can call out to the divine. And so I want to just lift up, before I sing this psalm that many of us are familiar with, this idea of the Lord is my shepherd, right? What does that mean? And the Hebrew word for shepherd is ro'i. And the root of that word, the Hebrew letters resh ayin, is the same word as beloved friend. So if the Lord is my shepherd works for you, that's beautiful. And if it doesn't, perhaps we can begin to open our hearts to this idea of God as our friend, just as Ruthie is, was, and will be our friend. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echzar, bino deshe yarbitzeini, amei menuchot yenahaleni, nafshi esholeh. Nafshi esholeh, yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech regei tzalmaveh. Lo ira
Shabti beveit Adonai leorech yamim yadai
Grandma Ruthie, Ruth Rodensky Gottlieb, was born in 1932 in Rhode Island. She was raised by her parents, Pauline and Samuel Spader, who had both immigrated to the U.S. from Eastern Europe. She was raised with her 3 siblings, her twin sister Flossie, who is in Denver watching with us now. Hi, Aunt Flossie. Her sister Frances, who passed away in 1996, and her older brother, Uncle Al, who is here with us today, and we are so blessed for that. Grandma Ruthie studied retail and merchandising at Simmons College, and it was during those years that she first met Dr. Paul Rodensky. The two married in 1954 and were so until his passing in 1988. Ruthie and Paul raised their 2 amazing daughters, though of course I'm slightly biased, Karen and Debbie in Hollywood, Florida. Grandma was an ardent optimist, always turning lemons into lemonade, and really nothing illustrates that more than what happened next. One of the most special stories in our family narrative. My mom's best friend Jill and her father Richard had already shared a connection with Ruthie, having met several times over the years that Jill and Karen were students together at the University of Michigan in the late 70s. After my mom and Jill both tragically lost a parent to cancer in their late 20s, they decided to send their parents to spend some time together, of course, to play tennis. And it must have been a very special game of tennis because Ruthie and Richard were married less than a year later. The Gottliebs and the Rodenskys merged as one and enjoyed 30 beautiful years together, thanks in large part to the love that Ruthie and Richard shared. Grandma Ruthie was defined by many things, but perhaps these three especially. We could probably all list them together. Tennis, bridge, and making people smile. She was the belle of the ball, and this is said about a lot of people, but I think we would all agree that it's kind of especially Ruthie, that really no one lit up a room like she did. She was generous and giving, particularly in her involvement with the American Cancer Society and with RMD, with the great work that she and Richard did together with RMD. Ruthie had a passion for the arts, something that has clearly been instrumental in our family through the generations. She helped my mom and Debbie to open the University Center for the Performing Arts and continued to support the school and many related projects through the Paul L. Rodensky Foundation for the Arts after Paul's passing. And of course, she was always supportive of my sister and I in our artistic endeavors, always greeting us with her signature smile at the end of every concert or performance. Ah! Right. Oh, hooey. Grandma was an incredible mom, mother-in-law, grandma, wife, sister, aunt, and dear, dear special friend to all of us who are here today. Her smile certainly made the world a better place, and her memory certainly already is a blessing. And again, I just thank you all so, so much for being here. Next, we're going to hear from a few relatives, special, close people to Ruthie, and of course, who better to start than Ruthie's oldest daughter, Aunt Debbie.
I can do this. There's just so much love here, and there's so many memories, different kinds of memories. When I first thought about speaking about my mom, to be honest, I got really nervous. I know what I want to say, but dear friends and family that know me well also know I tend to babble, and I frequently blurt out not always the right words. But then I thought, it's Mommy. How can I possibly say something wrong? Mom was the sweetest, nicest, kindest person I have ever known, other than my dad. She never had an unkind word to say about anyone. She never judged anyone. My sister and I grew up in a family that was full of love, laughter, and happiness. That's all I've ever known. I never heard my parents raise their voices at one another, or at my sister or I. Well, maybe they had that one time at me, yeah. I have so many wonderful memories growing up. Coming home from school and seeing dresses laid out on my bed from Melinda's, size 6. Yeah, that Melinda's, the one that just closed in Hollywood after 74 years. That one. Everyone loved hanging out at our house. Mom always had love and wisdom to share, and Dad had jokes to tell. Mom loved dancing. She had the best parties. I remember her playing mahjong, and me and my sister would come out of our rooms and go get bridge mix, candies and nuts, say hi to our friends, and then go back to our rooms. She was always smiling, every picture of her with that beautiful, heartwarming, contagious smile. She loved tennis. She loved life. She loved my dad. She loved Richard. She loved her grandchildren and loved her daughters more than anything. She sculpted me into the very happy, loving, and caring person that I am. And I am so grateful and blessed to have had her as my mom. I will miss her so much, more than she knows. I know I drove you a little crazy, Mommy. It wasn't always so easy with me. But know that I loved you more than I can put into words. And give Daddy a hug from me.
I feel like I don't have to say next is Karen.
Okay. Did you actually have it in here?
Do you want to call up and go?
I've known for some time that this day was soon to come, and I tried so many times to put down my thoughts to share with you all today. What do I say about my mom? What do I say about a woman whose life was dedicated to making others feel good? I'm reminded of a favorite saying of Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. They will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I suppose those were the words I was searching for. Anyone who knew my beautiful mommy knew that making people feel good was the thing she did best. Everyone was a sweetie, honey, dear, whether it was the person serving her coffee or her closest friends. No one could light up a room like my mom. It was something I wish I could have bottled up and shared with others. What an amazing gift it was, and how lucky was I that I was raised watching that happen all of the time. When I picture my mom, she's in a tennis outfit looking absolutely adorable, or heading to her bridge game, both of which she was exceptionally good at. Coming home after school to that smile and to a house filled with love was the greatest gift a family could give to a child. But the most important thing we learned from Mom was, Debbie and I, we could recite this one together. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. She lived by that motto, and she insisted that we do too. Thank you, Mom, for teaching us kindness. It is the quality I am most proud of, and I learned it from you and Dad. Funny thing is that Mom felt she needed a great personality because she always felt her twin sister, Flossie, was the prettier one. Uncle Al knows this. Flossie looked like Elizabeth Taylor, and Mom always said she had to shine in another way. Well, Mom, we think you are beautiful inside and out in so many other ways. Although Flossie is unable to be here today, I'm so happy that her brother Al is with us after recently moving down to Delray to be near our cousin Shirley. I'm so grateful to be surrounded by my amazing children, Brielle, my Shelby, my rock of a husband, Scott, Jill and Andrew, my wonderful nieces and nephews, Lauren, Erica, Brett, Todd, and of course, my big sissy Debbie, who has so much of my heart, words just can't do it justice. I also want to thank her husband, John, my brother-in-law, who is her everything and helps us all in so many ways. There are so many people in my mom's life that if I should start mentioning them.
So many good things in life, but let's face reality, there were some bad things in life too. Can you hear me well in the back? Can I speak louder? Can you hear me all right? Okay. So let me mention the reality and the bad things as well as the good things. Okay. When they were children, and there were twins, and I always favored Florence, and I always thought Ruthie was bad. Ruthie was bad and Florence was good. So why? Well, I don't know. Ruthie was more spirited, highly spirited, very active. Flowers are serene. Flowers are calm. So that had to be good. The other had to be bad. Okay, I was so wrong. I felt quite bad about that. But there were certain experiences that made Ruthie stand out. Ruthie, well, Saturday night, the girls would go out dating Saturday night. Ruthie always had a date, always went out. Florence stayed home, she was very fussy about it. So that was reality. So Ruthie was bad and Florence was good. And that's the way I brought them. But now, the solution came when Mary came into our home. Now, Mary came from Ireland. In those days, she came in and she lived with us. Mary became a mother. And she gave the love to Ruthie. And that's important to understand that. So Ruthie got her love from Mary. And I was a bad guy. Because Mary would come with all her skirts, and Ruthie would hide under her skirts, and Mary would take her broomstick like this. Come on, and I would face it. You come near her, and Ruthie would hide under the skirts. So, but anyways.
You know the story about the bucket of sand at the beach?
Oh yeah, here's a little incident. It was at the beach. We always used to go to Connecticut to the beach.
Rhode Island.
In Rhode Island. And I remember one little incident where they were playing with sand. Ruthie and Florence were playing with sand. Ruthie had filled up the bucket and she had it over her head and she was going to drop it on Florence. I grabbed it just in time. Oh, Ruthie was a naughty girl sometimes. So she was a devil. And you know, and I was so, how shall I say it, partial prejudice. So Ruthie was bad and Florence was good. And so that's the way I saw it. And I thought you ought to know that because in the lifetime, things happen. Life is not always smooth, but I did not treat Ruthie well as a child. And I feel, rather guilty about that, but
And as
so
an
be it.
adult?
Huh?
And as an adult?
As an adult, well, I love Ruthie. As an adult, later I loved her very much, I'm very close to Ruthie. But that was a child. That's enough?
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you want to say. I will share also that as a child, my favorite aunt would paint my nails. She was just pure fun. And much later in life, when Richard and Ruthie came to Rhode Island, it was just before her 80th birthday, and she wanted to go dress shopping. I was living in Rhode Island at the time, and I took her to the perfect store. There was a mannequin in the front as we entered. That's okay. There was a mannequin in the front as we entered, and it was a rainbow-colored dress, if you remember what she wore to her 80th. The sales girl took it right off the mannequin. She went in the dressing room, tried it on. It was meant for her. She looked gorgeous. No alteration necessary. The dress said it all. Her personality was sunshine. She was effervescent. Iconically sweet and Ruthie, just sweet. And we will miss her terribly.
And to understand that I loved Ruthie, especially when she was an adult, I loved this very much,
She knew it on well. She knew it.
And I hope,
Thank you.
I don't want to feel like guilt, but Ruthie, you're the Ruthie, I love you.
Thank you, Uncle Al. Papa, you're gonna want to speak? Would you like to stay where you are? Or would you like? Yeah, maybe just turn around and face everyone.
One of the biggest things that has ever happened to me was to be with Ruthie. She was something special. She loved everybody and she showed it in everything she did. She always looked at people and she could only see good things and tell me about the good things that these people did for her and what she did for them. We were married for 30 years, and it was something very, very unique. We went all over the world together, Ruthie and I, and we saw many, many things that were very unique that I wanted to see and that she wanted to see. And her biggest thing was to make people happy. She didn't know anything that was not in that category. And I'm so happy that she, in her last time, enjoyed where we ended up in a two-story building that took care of us, and we were very proud of ourselves, and we did many, many things in this place. And all I want to do is look at all of you, and all of you to think how lucky you were to meet a person like Ruth.
Thank you, Papa. Of course.
So I know it's a long day, and I wasn't going to speak. I'm just going to be brief. Karen and I came home from college. I barely knew her. She wasn't my roommate, and she said, "Do you want to come home with me over winter vacation?" I'm like, "How many minutes do I have to buy my plane ticket?" "Yes, I'm coming." And so I came and everything. And remember, the old Fort Lauderdale airport did not have any. There was nowhere to wait. We didn't have cell phones. Karen, like, "Where's your mom? Where's your mom?" Yeah. She's coming. She's coming. I promise you, she's coming. And all of a sudden, she was driving a beautiful car, steps out. She's chocolate brown tan and this bright red lipstick and these big white teeth, and she's in a tennis skirt. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine. I'm getting the chills. I can't imagine what it'd be like to have a mom like that. Wow, you know. And they always say, be careful what you ask for. Because from that day on, I always wanted to move to Florida. Of course, as my dad and mom, and I love Karen's dad too. He was great. He was hysterically funny and took me to Joe's, and you all remember it was called Steak and Ale. He called it Mistake and Fail. So we have only wonderful, memories. Ruthie was very iconic for me for the last 30 years. She was my mom. And, anybody could try to emulate some of these wonderful qualities, and she passes it on to anybody in this room, and she would probably feel really good about herself and her legacy she leaves behind. So thank you all.
Thanks, Angela. And next, one of Grandma Ruthie's 5 grandchildren, our wonderful cousin Erica. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to celebrate the most fabulous, vivacious Ruthie Rodensky Gottlieb. It goes without saying, Ruthie emanated sweetness, kindness to all who crossed her path. She was the definition of unconditional love. Her presence lit up a room, and people would gravitate toward her because making people feel good was when she was most authentically herself. She lived fully with laughter, joy, play, and a little sass. It is my honor and privilege to be able to share with you how special this woman was and always will be, my Grandma Ruthie. For those of you who don't know the origin story, plot twist, you've already heard it, but now you're going to hear my version of the story to be true. Grandma Ruthie became my grandmother because my mom and her bestie from college thought, wouldn't it be cool to be sisters? And boom, done. They made it happen. These women are the reason I am here sharing with you. Without these two incredibly resilient people that each tragically lost one of their parents to cancer and still had hope that love and parents would be possible for them. They pulled a parent trap in hopes friendship would morph into family, and it actually worked. The probability that this would be a successful match actually blows me away. The odds that my grandparents would agree to date, fall in love, and get married was beshert or really meant to be. It goes without saying that when honoring Ruthie to me, it means gratitude for the love story of her and my grandfather, Richard. They are the glue, the magic that created our beautiful blended family. It is because they both decided to live in Florida and create a second chapter full of love that we, my siblings and cousins, were able to grow up with aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents that all lived within a 5-minute drive of each other. Their love created a story that positively impacted my entire childhood experience, and for that I am eternally grateful. When I think of their marriage, it brings me hope and inspires me that love has no time limit, no age requirement, and after tragedy, joy is possible. I feel so lucky to have this as part of my origin story. I know I can speak on behalf of my siblings and cousins to say Grandma had a unique connection to each of us, and in her own way, she let us know how much she loved and adored us, and that we were special to her. When I remember Grandma Ruthie, it's the little things that stick out to me, like how after she'd leave the beauty parlor, no matter what the weather, and she would adorn this cute little bonnet to protect her freshly blown hairdo. Her hair also ranged every single shade of color. It was reddish, brownish, blondish, and I'd always wonder what it would be like when I showed up for a family holiday. Or how her eyes would light up when she would see a yummy dessert or ordering her apple martini. She would stop in her tracks to say hello in the softest and kindest way to anything she thought was precious. A dog, a baby, a tree, a flower, a butterfly. And later in life, she learned to love my little dog and called him her baby. Or how she'd make up little sing-songs about anything that she was doing, and she just created fun for herself. What I would give to hear her laugh one more time and have her say, "Bye-bye, darling. I love you." But lastly, her voice and her precious Rhode Island accent is probably something I will miss the most, and how she would say the number 4, my favorite number. I know it sounds silly, but it was so important to me. In remembering the big, full life my beautiful grandma had, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Princess Diana. Carry out random act of kindness with no expectation of reward, save in the knowledge that one day someone might do the same for you. Let this be a reminder we can all take a lesson from Ruthie's book to make the world a little better than you found it. Spreading love, raising people up, and having compassion, especially during difficult times. Rest easy, Grandma. Your memory is such a blessing for all who knew you and loved you. I promise we will always remember you and that we love you and we miss you forever. Thank you.
I'll next recite the prayer El Male Rachamim, where we acknowledge the Divine One as being full of compassion, welcoming Ruthie into her eternal resting place of Gan Eden. And we know how much Ruthie loved to travel, and I just imagine Gan Eden as being like, the last place on her list of places to visit. And she, us here today with our energy, we're loving her up there. and what a gift to us, and what a gift especially to her.
Male rachamim, shochein b'mromim, hamitzei menucha nechona al kanfei hashechina. במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירי את נשמת רחל בת פשי ושמואל שהלכה לעולמה. בעבור שנדבו צדקה בעד הזכרת נשמתה בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, וינוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר אמן.
We will soon begin our journey to the gravesite. It's the awning that's just behind us, so it's a short walk away. I'm going to explain a couple of things that are going to happen, and then invite you all to participate as you would like. First, I will, not yet, but when I'm done explaining, I'm going to invite the grandchildren, Shelby, Erica, and Lauren, and Brett, who is watching, and we love you, Brett, to come and escort Grandma. We will go first. Then the family in the first couple rows here will follow, and we invite anyone else who would like to follow us over to the gravesite for a few minutes that we'll be over there. And we're going to pause 7 times as we approach the gravesite, taking our time to be fully present, emotionally, physically, spiritually. We're not in any rush to really be in this moment on our journey. There will be a shovel for anyone who would like to physically engage in this highest mitzvah of putting Ruthie to rest, that her soul may soar. Traditionally, we hold the shovel backwards for at least the first shovel of dirt to symbolize our hesitation and the difficulty in saying goodbye. We then place the shovel in the dirt for the next person to come take it rather than handing it directly to each other. If you would like to participate in this mitzvah and you need some help physically, logistically with that, please, please, please find me, and I will find a way for you to participate in a way that is meaningful and comfortable for you. Please allow the family to go first, and then the rest of all of our extended family, everyone here, whoever would like, is welcome to participate after that. We will then recite the first communal Mourner's Kaddish in honor of Grandma Ruthie. And then after a few closing words, everyone will be welcome and invited to join us at my parents, Karen and Scott's house in Weston for Shiva today from when we get there until 8 o'clock, as well as tomorrow and Tuesday from 4 to 8 p.m. Please also know that there is no wrong way to do any of this. So if you hold the shovel this way or that way, or you stand here or there, it's all good, it's all beautiful. What matters is that we are here with our love and our kavod, our respect, our honor for Ruthie, and that is perfect to her, to God, and to anyone else that matters. So, thank you. And as we go, I'm going to sing a melody. In Ruthie's last few days that I had the honor of being with her, I had several songs, several melodies that came to me from her, for her. And so I'm going to sing one of those, the words, Tarimi oti b'shalom, Tarimi oti b'shalva, asking that God peace, serenity. And so that is, as her body is being lowered, her spirit is soaring, and those are the words that we will walk to and the energy that we will carry as we move from here to her gravesite. Thank you all.
Please come forward.
Anyone else?
Yishkadal, I hear it.
Okay.
Yishkadal, Yishkadal, Shemay Rabba.
So, in just a moment, we will say Kaddish. I will say some closing words, and then I will invite everyone. Mommy, which way do you want to walk out?
Our car's over there, but I don't care.
The lines will be that way? Okay. And then after the Kaddish and a few closing words, I'm going to invite everyone to make 2 parallel lines here on this sidewalk here, and for the family to walk through. And this is such a gift and such a blessing to us to have such really mamish, like special holy souls to be comforted by and to be loved by as we will exit and head over to my parents' house for Shiva. And so, thank you. So if you are, I invite you to rise in body, mind, spirit, or any combination of the above. Yitgadal, Vayitgadal, Shmei Rabba. Dalmat Yivrach Yerutei, Ve'amlich Malchutei. V'chayechon, V'vyomechon, V'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael. V'agala, V'gizman, Kariv, Ve'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba, Mevorach, Le'olam, V'lamei, Almaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitba'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yithalal, Shmei Dekudasha, B'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Aseh shalom b'romav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. If you're by a chair and you want to sit for just a minute or two, you can, or you can remain standing. I promise I'll make these brief. But I had to share, when I was in Israel, until just recently, I noticed a mother bird. This is as true a story as it gets. Nesting on 2 eggs in my utility room in my apartment in Netanya. Not to worry, it was very well ventilated. They could come and go as they pleased, the mama bird. I loved this bird. Really. Just like Grandma would. I mean, can you imagine her finding a bird in her laundry room? What she would, she'd build the house. And I loved her babies as they eventually hatched, and I watched her care for them so dearly. Eventually, the baby birds weren't babies anymore, and the cycle of life continued. But then, really, the mama bird came back. And so did 2 more eggs. As it became clear that Grandma's final days were approaching, I booked the first flight I could, which was Saturday night, the second night of Passover, to come home. I must admit that I was sad to leave my mama bird, especially before this second generation of eggs had hatched. I was planning to spend Friday night to do Seder with a friend of mine in Yerushalayim, and so on my last night in this apartment, Thursday night, I went to go say goodbye to my mama bird, and 2 inches from her, I saw an eggshell. The birds had hatched. The last thing I did before I left my apartment the next day was to say goodbye to my bird family. As I approached the mom, she looked at me. She flew away for about 5 to 10 seconds, giving me a sacred, sacred moment with this generation, this next generation of life. I bid them farewell and was on my way. When I arrived home, my mom told me that for the first time in the almost 30 years that we've lived in our house in Weston, there was a bird nesting on our back patio. Not only that, but when I got home and I went outside, I could confirm that it was in fact the same species of bird of my bird family in Israel. Then, as my mom sat in the garden at the palace the day before Grandma passed, a bird of the same kind came and sat by her, and later by me, as we waited for the moment of Grandma's final goodbye. These birds are mourning doves, sent by Papa Paul to bring our family together safely and to help see us through this difficult time. And just as I watched my mama bird tenderly nourish and nurture 2 generations of baby birds, so too did Grandma Ruthie. As a proud and grateful member of the second of said generations, I would like to close with a bit of a song that I wrote for my bird family, now that I know that it was for Grandma all along. Our beautiful mama bird, free now to fly, le'olam va'ed, forever and ever. Go on, fly, little bird, go and see the world. You gotta fly, little bird, now's your time. You gotta fly, little bird, go and see the world today. Spread your wings and fly away. המקום ינחם אתכם בתוך שאר אבלי ציון בירושלים. Thank you all. We love you.
Friends, at this time we're going to form 2 lines. This line is a consolation right this way. So everyone that's not wearing the ribbon, please form 2 lines. 1 line to the side of me, 1 line in front of me, right down this way. Come down.
Yes, sit for a second.
So if anyone would like to line up on this side.